ThunderCats!
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Hey, how are you? I'm Larry Kenny, the voice of Lion-O, here today for my good friends Ryan and David. You may know if you listen to the podcast Radical Retro Rewind.
I love it. All of it.
Radical Retro Rewind.
She even looks older.
Likes my art collection?
Yeah, we've heard that one before, Mummy.
What is it? I heard him shout.
Oh yeah, ThunderCats! Ho!
Who you calling a hoe?
Welcome back, Bunglers, to another episode of ThunderCats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother, David, and of course, our friend and guest, Zack, back for another 2 jammed-packed episodes of ThunderCats 1985. Hello, my wonderful friends and gentlemen.
Hello.
Hi.
So we are deep into season 3 here. These 2 episodes came up and Zack was scheduled to be on these episodes, and I totally understand why. But Zack, what have you been up to since you've been on here?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I mean, it's fall, summer's over. Spent some time up where the leaves are changing. Yeah, it's the best time of year, right?
I'm a fall person too, so I mean, I totally get that. I mean, I hate when it gets too cold, but yeah. I love it.
I don't love saying goodbye to summer, but I enjoy like breaking out, the fall fashions. wearing a boot or a cardigan, like this.
Cardigan, and I bet you rock a nice cardigan.
I think you do.
A very Tygra-esque, I feel like. Tygra would also rock a cardigan.
In fall and winter, I dress like a professor, and in summer, I dress like a prostitute.
I was going to say, a naughty schoolboy.
I was just going to say, because I know that Zack is like a beach person.
Well, I like the idea of the beach and dress in the summer as if I'm always going to the beach, but when I go to the beach, I'm always miserable. So I think I prefer a pool.
Is it because we were born in the same month and the same year? Because I, too, enjoy the idea of the beach, and then I want to go as soon as I get there because I'm bored after I look at the water.
Oh, no, I like it for a little while, but then I always, by the end of the day, I'm all covered in sand. My eyes hurt. I don't know why my eyes hurt. I should probably see a doctor.
Yeah,
but
please.
Yeah, I just always leave uncomfortable.
Sand in areas that weren't there before. Sandy fries, as called.
As long as you don't have Sangina.
Drag Race, right?
No, that was
no.
that. I guess it could be. No, it was from American Idol.
Sangina, Sanjaya, yeah.
It's from...
Who never got voted off, if I remember correctly, right? It
took him way too long to be voted off. He had a devoted tween fan base.
Listen, if you get in with those tweens, that's why we need to get into with the tweens.
I just want to tell you, I'm throwing shade at both of you because in my beautiful state of Arizona, it is still over 100 degrees. There is no fall here. The only thing that's falling are the people from the heat. But let's have this conversation in January and February when you're dealing with black ice, sleet, and snow, and I will be in my beach attire for the next 5 to 6 months.
In your landlocked state.
I will be in my prostitution whore stage.
So just remember, when summer comes around, Zack will be in tank tops and shorts, and possibly enjoying the beach. That's something to look forward to. Still be doing these episodes, by the way. We'll still be doing ThunderCats in the summer. So enjoy this.
Well, we need that, Ryan. We need that. Keep those episodes coming.
You mentioned cold weather, and that definitely comes up in today's episode. There is a freezing moment in one of our episodes. The Crystal Canyon, Season 3, Episode 8, with the original air date possibly of September 14th of 1988. Tygra falls under the dangerous, addictive power of the Keystone and spirals down a path of self-destruction. Thank you again to the ThunderCats Wikipedia for the synopsis and sometimes trivia, and of course, our lovely Leah, who provided us with the audio that you will be hearing for these episodes. Once again, Tygra falling into his addiction, if we could say, or...
Yeah, his addictive personality, yeah.
And isn't that genius, though? I mean, right off the bat, of course, we've joked about it and Silky and all these things, but we do have a character who, after all this time, is remaining true to the fact that he is a little more susceptible to these things than the other ones possible. So I am a sucker for continuity, so this just speaks to me.
Yeah, and I think as a character, Tygra is sort of underused. A lot of writers didn't know how to use him. And Sandy Fries, who wrote this episode, was like, well, one way to get an episode picked, submit an idea for an episode is to feature a character that other writers aren't featuring. So he's on the record saying like that's why he chose Tygra for this. But I think it's interesting, like Tygra, we'll talk about this later more, but yes, he falls prey to this addictive thing, but it shines a spotlight on some like real anxieties that he has. And I think that's one of the reasons I love this episode so much, is that for Tygra as a character, it feels like a really rich story. It's not just like a black and white, drugs are bad, he becomes a different person. He's still in there. Like his real anxieties are there. They're just inflamed.
So true. What Zack is alluding to is something that Tygra says later. And when he does say it, it makes so much sense that is how he feels, honestly. So right off the bat, was anyone noticing, and of course, I tend to go to the Hulu source of things, but I don't know about the DVD and maybe what Zack can say, but was the audio off for anybody else in this episode? It's okay, so there you go. Maybe it's the Hulu version. To me, it sounded almost like dull.
Oh, no, it was good. It was normal for me.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so maybe it's just Hulu, you got those bad masters. I don't know what you got. Every time there's an issue, it didn't sound as strong as usual. I just want to bring up Snarfball. We have not heard of this game before. Now, is this something that Snarf has come up with, or do you think this is part of the race? the games that they play?
Come on, Lion-O. There's nothing on the monitor, and you promised we'd play Snarfball today.
No, Snarf. I could have sworn that I picked up a Lunatak transmission a moment ago. Maybe if I activate the booster circuits, we can...
Coordinates. The treasure.
By Jaga. Lunataks.
Are you sure the treasure of Thundera is safely hidden?
Of course, Aluro. Deep in the Crystal Canyon, the ThunderCats will never find it.
How on Third Earth did the Lunataks get hold of the treasure of Thundera?
Beats me, Lion-O.
It's sort of like being a Smurf. Everything has got the word Smurf or Smurfy in it. Snarf, Snarfball, Snarf, Snarf, Snarf.
Well, it's like Thundercat. You have to put the insignia on anything that belongs to
That
them.
is marketing, and you should take note of that, Ryan, for the podcast.
Warner Brothers does not like that.
No, I'm talking about the Radical Retro Rewind branding.
I'm still working on that Queen Angela hoodie / snuggie that we're trying to make. One day.
Snarfball. It's a one-off line, right? But it comes up again later in season 3, and I think I'll be on that episode. So when we get there, we can talk about it again. It's
even
a
better
fun little thing that comes back.
Lion-O he's not about that. He's telling him, Snarf, I think I might have intercepted a call from the Lunataks. And I still can't figure out, was this transmission sent on purpose?
Oh, yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Okay. It was planted.
So they said that all the other ThunderCats now are away on a mission, which is something that we haven't really... Well, I mean, we've seen, but usually it's like... Lately, no. But my question is, this treasure is on Third Earth?
Yeah, what they say is, and this is where Lion-O is like kind of not being the smartest. He says out loud, he's like, how did the Lunataks get their hands on the treasure of Thundera and then bring it back to Third Earth? How did we not notice that they left? Like we've been going back and forth from Thundera. How have we not run into them? How have we not seen past Sky Tomb on the highway? But, I guess you have to follow up and, make absolutely certain. But I don't know. There should be like a glimmer of doubt, I think, in his mind, and there isn't.
There should be, because I would question, how did they get up there, especially since we're seeing in the next episode that they need Panthro to modify everything so they can leave. I was going to say leave the country. So they can leave the planet.
It is interesting that they want in on the treasure hunt. Like, they've gotten word of the treasure, and they're like, "Ooh, we need to get our hands on that too, because it'll maybe curry favor with mumm-ra or help us." I don't know why they want it, but they're in on it now, and then they're in on it in the next episode too.
Dare I say it's Gold Rush season on Third Earth? Everyone's on this treasure, like Zack is saying. We get this interesting line where Snarf wishes Panthro was there. Yeah. And I mean, of course, love it because we love Panthro, but it's like, it seemed very almost out of place for me. Like Snarf was just like, I want Panthro of everybody, but I get it.
What you're trying to say is, I wish Panthro was here because you're so weak, Tygra. You disgust me. Looking at you makes me sick. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, it is weird. It's like, he says the Crystal Canyon is a strange place, ... I wish Panthro, yada, 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 I wish Panthro were here. So maybe he's concerned about flying in there?
Or maybe he feels Panthro is very strange in some way that we don't know about. some encounters that we don't know about. That
he also has a relationship with Panthro. Like when they,
the banter,
they're an odd couple.
Yes.
There's some mutual respect there, I think, that developed over time.
Yes, even down to that episode where they swapped and Panthro learned how to use his tail and everything. Yes. Yeah.
Can we talk about why Lynx-O happens to know the whole history of the Crystal Canyon, the Keystone, and literally everything about Third Earth? I mean, I know he had time on the island, but I don't remember there being any books there.
Well, that's the thing. So Lynx-O and Tygra are here on Third Earth, and this is actually one of, I feel like, the only episodes where we get Lynx-O, Tygra together, and Lion-O in this group dynamic. So that's kind of cool. But Lynx-O has this knowledge. Like, he does seem to have that old stories of Thundera, and
This isn't Thundera. This is Third Earth, baby. The Keystone is part of something from Third Earth. It has nothing to do with the treasures of Thundera.
Oluro and Chilla are just luring them there because it's a dangerous place.
Do they know that the Keystone is really there, and why wouldn't they take it for themselves? Anyway.
No, I don't think they do, because Oluro later on is like, "What's this?" Ooh, you're right. It doesn't quite make sense. I mean, Lynx-O standing at the braille board all day probably is like exploring Third Earth in ways that we don't understand. But the fact that he knows the name of the thing, he knows like the history of it. It is. I mean, he's like the wise, like the sage now. Like,
yes, 1,000%. He even knows how the Crystal Canyons look and shapes and how they formed. So
there it is, the Crystal Canyon. It's beautiful.
It's more than beautiful. See how the crystals make random patterns. But the deeper we go into the canyon, the more regular the pattern becomes. Those patterns lead to the Keystone. The Keystone? What in the name of Jaga is that? The Keystone is the source of pure energy. Hold on, ThunderCats. We're going in.
But he explains to us that at the center of the Crystal Canyon is this thing called the Keystone, which is, he says, the source of pure energy. That feels a little too important. It's a source of pure energy.
And no relation to the Sound Stones.
Or the state of Pennsylvania.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. As far as we know. As far as we know.
There are some mountainous terrain. Some canyons you can go into. We did that
and
as
get
children.
Some crystal meth.
So now we have... crystal.
I got a whole story on that.
To be continued. To be continued. Okay, so we have, again, the group dynamic of Lynx-O, Tygra, Snarf, and Lion-O. And now they are going to fly out to try to stop the Lunataks' plan, of course. The drama that happens with this, though, this flight. Loro and Chilla are waiting to ambush them. And they do this classic, which reflection are we out of the three? Every cartoon has done this. It's classic. classic.
Strange. I can't tell the real Lunataks from the reflections.
Take your best guess, Lynx-O. Fire!
They try one, doesn't work. They try the second one, nope. And then they end up crashing. Now, is this part of the terrain? I can't remember. Like, do they crash because of the terrain, or is it just something that the Lunataks do?
No, the Lunataks, Alluro paralyzes them, like, psychically, and then
he throws
and
balls.
Chilla, and both of them fire on the ThunderStrike and damage it. There's a shot of like part of the ThunderStrike like breaking and catching on fire, and the engines get all messed up. And then the crash is like, it's intense.
And something we haven't seen on ThunderCats to this point, because once you actually see like the crash site, Snarf is hanging out and Lion-O is on the dashboard. Basically, if this was a car, he'd be hanging out. They
need to invest in some seatbelts. Tygra goes flying out of the ThunderStrike pod. Lynx-O throws himself out of the ThunderStrike. He there's a hole in the windshield, and it's just animated, I think, poorly. He doesn't fall out. He throws himself out.
No, he says, "Oh hell no! I'm not getting crushed in this ship. I'm
not going down. I'm not going down again with this."
Tuck and roll.
So they come to Lynx-O, right? And he's grabbing his back. It almost looks like he broke his back. We find out he hurts his leg, but I love this. He says he's a tough old cat. He can handle this.
Lion-O!
Over here, Tygra.
Are you okay?
I can make it.
Lynx-O!
Don't worry about me. I'm a tough old cat. I'll survive. But where's Lion-O?
Did anybody think we really need Mumm-ra right now?
1,000%.
Her medical degree.
Yep, and the Totem of Dara would be nice if we hadn't thrown it to the bottom of that swamp.
I almost feel like this could replace the Totem of Dara. This keystone,
My
energy is healing in a way. Or
pure energy. Now, poor Lynx-O is blind, and now he's going to be a cripple too on top of it. That would be terrible.
Well, that's the sad part. He really again, it shows the damage that they've gone through. And there's this great shot where Tygra goes all the way up to get Lion-O and Snarf from the crash, from the wreckage, and he brings them down. And I've never seen this. They're like, will he survive?
Yeah, it's dire, right? It's this is a really serious situation. More than we've ever seen before. I mean, I guess Lion-O being poisoned in the Baleful Swamp was pretty bad, but this feels worse because they're trapped there.
Internal bleeding.
And no one there, and they have no one on Third Earth to help them.
That's exactly what it felt like. It was like eternal bleeding, trapped in a place they can't contact anybody.
How bad is it, Lynx-O? Will he survive?
Of course he'll survive. He's Lord of the ThunderCats. I'm afraid that's no guarantee, Snarf. Lion-O is badly injured. Oh, what can we do? We have to save him! There may be a way.
How, Lynx-O? Tell me.
The keystone. Its pure energy may revive Lion-O. It may even repower the ThunderStrike. Tygra will need your help, Snarf. I'll stay here with Lion-O. Besides, I can't move much. I've injured my legs. Don't worry, Lion-O. We'll find that keystone. Old Snarf will never let you down.
The fact that Snarf is just what did he say? Of course he will survive. He's the Lord of the ThunderCats. He's just in that mind frame. But honestly, had this gone another way, we would have been doing another
anointment
trials. And Cheetara might have won.
Bengali, my Sancho, my second boyfriend.
Actually, that should have been our what if. Who would have been the next in line?
There's just a really funny moment after the crash. Alluro and Chilla have a moment where they gloat, and Alluro says, "Come on, Chilla, let's go celebrate." And I just have this vision of a big party at Sky Tomb.
Come on, Chilla, let's go celebrate.
They go into the bubbler. Chilla, I have to pick up something first. My God.
Some laughing gas from the bubbler. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You can't resist another 3 tequila shots, Chilla. You must drink them.
Thankfully, she still can't find her ID and license. It's been...
she shouldn't be drinking and flying.
That's what I mean.
Chilla.
She's not drinking and flying because she can't find it.
The other thing, the moment for me that is like the moment where I realized this episode is going to be different is after the crash. We start on Tygra. Tygra is we're experiencing the aftermath from Tygra's perspective, which is not a normal thing. Like normally we would expect to go to Lion-O or Snarf. So it immediately feels unusual, and you're like, oh, this episode is breaking the mold a little bit. I just really enjoyed that moment. It feels like a shift, like the story is taking a turn.
And he's walking with the stick.
Yeah, he's limping with a stick.
Wooden stick. And did anybody also think that since there's no other Thundercats on Third Earth, wouldn't this been the perfect opportunity for the Lunataks to go trash Cats Lair and the Tower of Own?
1,000%, of course.
Yeah.
Even the mutants.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, this would be the opportunity for you to go ham, go crazy, and destroy all of the.
No, but the party is calling.
Like, Chilla, do you have your go-go boots?
So, in the midst of this, Lynx-O suggests that the only way to save Lion-O is to use the Keystone. And this is where Tygra and Snarf now journey to get this Keystone, right? And like David's saying, Tygra is hobbling with a stick, and they're in this icy crystal. Well, I guess it's crystal. It's not really ice, but they're in this crystal sliding area. And he mentions that the stalactites, I want to say, if they come down, they'll basically shred them. I was like, oh, damn, Tygra.
Yeah, I mean, we're on Third Earth, so yeah, it was easy to get to the cave, but the cave's going to try to kill you.
Don't think it will be easy.
Now, Ryan, you know my love for Shira did not give you Shira trying to get the sword.
Yes,
to get the stone fixing the sword going through.
First ones.
Yeah.
Lean to the side with Cal.
Oh, with all the things the falling from the yeah.
He tells Snarf, please be careful and quiet as possible. So of course, instantly Snarf trips and starts to slide down this crystal cave. Of course, but Tygra manages to catch him, thankfully. So again, Zack said, this is now Tygra's show. It is something I think needed, because I feel like we haven't seen Tygra really do something in a while. And to get his own episode, it really is nice. So...
But it's always bad. It's always Tygra's, these, granted, these episodes really, like Zack had said earlier, and we'll talk about again, really touch a nerve and actually have a really powerful meaning behind them, at least for me. It's always like, poor Tygra's weak. He's weak. He's got an addiction.
Oh, well, this is... we'll see how it takes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we talk about Snarf, like how Snarf, like when he gets his moment, he's like shining. He took on Mumm-ra. He did this. He did. Tygra, you're on drugs again.
I think Fireballs of Plundar. I think of that as a Tygra episode where there's no substances there.
Yeah, there's no drugs involved. He was just pulled.
Yeah, he was just
four-winded,
drawn to the four winds.
Don't promise a good time to me, Zack.
But that's true. That's true. That was a shining moment.
You're gonna get torn apart before sunrise.
My God. There we go. The R rating has appeared once again. It's a Zack episode.
Hey, I didn't do it.
Poor Zack is always just an innocent bystander on these things. And he gets taken into these things. Snarf and Tygra come across the Keystone. It is a gorgeous green emerald colored stone with some kind of like writing looking things on it. They manage to bring it back, but as soon as Tygra touches it, the power just energizes him, and he's never felt anything like it before.
Yeah, there's like a really cool new music cue that happens.
Thank you. I wrote that. The music, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, he's like it not only does it like immediately affect his body and like heal him, but he also just like immediately becomes obsessed with it and forgets about Lion-O.
And then Snarf has to basically, come on, we gotta bring this to Lion-O kind of thing to snap him. Oh, yes, Lion-O. I almost forgot. How could I?
He was out looking for Silky. He was out looking for Silky again.
Snarf, are you... Oh, it's magnificent. It's spectacular. I have to touch it. What the? Get your act together, Tygra, and get that keystone to Lion-O. It's true. Pure energy.
Tygra?
I feel it, Snarf. Pure energy surging through my body.
Well, then what are we waiting for? Let's get the keystone back to Lion-O.
Lion-O, I almost forgot.
Forgot? You forgot Lion-O?
Come on, Snarf. I'll carry you. We've got tracks to make.
They managed to bring it back.
Well, first they hold it against Lion-O, and Lion-O, comes to a little bit.
Isn't it amazing? How could something so small contain so much power?
What?
And then they use it on Lynx-O's legs, and it heals him. And Lynx-O also is like, "Oh wow, I feel great."
Much like the last time we had an item that heals, I thought Lynx-O was gonna be like, "And I can see." Oh my god, my eyes have returned.
And they're like, "We don't need you anymore. Sorry, you're too old now. No braille board.
No braille board. Your ears
your braille board. You're nothing. Nothing. I tell you."
It does heal Lion-O, his injuries. It heals Lynx-O's leg, and it fixes the Thundrolium core on the ThunderStrike. I mean, amazing. This thing would have come in handy the first season for sure. They would have been a whole different thing if this was happening. But then Jaga immediately, as soon as Lion-O wakes up, Jaga materializes and just comes, of course.
Yeah, he says, basically gives a warning about the keystone. Like, with great energy comes great chemical dependence.
Yeah, great energy, yes.
Or it's like Nancy Reagan, just say no to the keystone.
Doing drugs is like being on top of the world. Everyone says so. Everyone seems to be having one dandy old time. Hey, it's part of growing up. Or is it? Just think about this. Before you go and do something you've never done before, you just better know what you're jumping into.
And immediately plants this seed in Lion-O's mind that, it's dangerous. And I think Lynx-O wasn't holding on to it long enough, and Tygra probably snatched it back right away.
I think...
Take that back. Give it back.
Immediately relays that warning to everyone, and Tygra is just incredulous. He's just like, "What are you talking about? It healed you. Like, be grateful. And look, it's going to fix the ThunderStrike too. And look, it did. And thank God, or not, thank Jaga." So, he immediately gets defensive and rejects the warning. And then they head back to the lair.
And the fact that Lion-O literally just tosses it, and then Tygra runs right after.
Oh, right.
Oh, no.
I forgot.
Oh, hell no.
I can stand again, yet I could not move before. Truly, this keystone is remarkable.
No! There is great danger in the keystone. The holder of the keystone slowly becomes a slave to its power. Jaga has told me so. Tygra, stop! Listen to me!
Out of my way, Lion-O! We need that crystal. This crystal saved your life, Lion-O. It healed Lynx-O's legs. It is a power for good. It will help all the ThunderCats.
The keystone is powerful, Tygra, but its power exacts a terrible price.
How can there be any harm in something that multiplies our natural power?
Like Zack said, this just saved your life and you're throwing this thing away? I'm surprised because, this does come up with the Lord of the ThunderCats a few times in this episode, but that's the first time Tygra went against the Lord of the ThunderCats in this sense.
Cocaine's a powerful drug. I
forgot that he did say it's spectacular. He has to touch it. And I thought that was quite a line.
It's spectacular. I have to touch
it. The holder of the keystone becomes a slave to its powers. That's pretty deep.
I have a vision of Jaga. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
On
and he questions, and then he flips his cape and disappears.
If only he was that informative.
I will say that. This is sort of the act break. This is like where we go to commercial, and Lion-O has this very melodramatic line where, like, look, I'm with the whole concept. I'm into the story. But Lion-O says, this could be a threat as dangerous as any the Thundercats have ever faced. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to accept this allegory for drug use. I get it. It's a very special episode. But, like, that hyperbole took me out of it. It's like, okay, we get it. Drugs are bad. But it's not the biggest danger you've ever faced. Come on.
It's not the star of Thundera.
He did not want the Cats Lair to turn into an opium den.
Like, this could change everything, Snarf. So,
snarf.
Gentlemen, your carriage awaits.
At Cats Lair, Tygra's condition continues to get worse. He works tirelessly and without eating for days. Yes, so there's a shot where we start to notice that Tygra's losing muscle tone, not just weight. He's losing muscle tone and size. And this was 2 days, though. Oh, you're just gonna say it's Ozempic?
He's on Monjorn.
That's the new one, right?
He's on trizepatide. That's right. He like Christina Aguilera.
Oh my God. A new woman, a new Tygra.
Trizepatide?
That's what a name. What
Ozempic Bear and Trizepatide Tiger.
Yeah, I like that.
Ozempic Bear.
Did you ever get that T-shirt?
I wanted it.
You
they didn't have it in tall.
And I tried to order it. Like, I tried to, like, make my own Ozempic Bear for him on a tall shirt and print it out, of course. Copyright striked again, and I...
You just spell it wrong. Mezpic.
Mezpic Bear. So Snarf actually tries to bring food for Tygra, which I do love. He's worried about him eating. And in 2 days, I would have said, damn, Tygra didn't eat in 2 days, and he must have a high metabolism.
Ready for breakfast, Tygra?
Oh, Snarf, you startled me.
I made these pancakes just for you.
Thanks, Snarf, but I'm just not hungry.
You have to eat something, Tygra. This is your second day without food.
I don't need food. I get my energy from the Keystone.
But he is working on everything, and this is where, at one point during this montage, he does mention that, who needs Panthro? So there it does come up, like Zack said. I could fix everything.
The scene you're talking about is like 2 days later, but in between, we go to the lair, and Tygra he's working on the ThunderStrike, doing more repairs, just talking to himself. And he says, everyone thinks Panthro is Mr. Fix-It, but look at me, look what I can do with the Keystone. You know, sort of betraying that underlying anxiety that everyone thinks Panthro is more talented. It's true. Snarf did say, I wish Panthro were here. There is this, it's a real thing that people think this, and it clearly bothers him, but he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Everyone thinks Panthro is Mr. Fix-It. But with the Keystone, I'm every bit as good as he is. Maybe better. Lunataks, stay away from me.
Hey, take it easy, Tygra. It's only us.
Oh, right. I knew that. Next time, just don't sneak up on me.
Tygra, Lynx-O and I are worried about you. The Keystone is doing strange things to you. It seems to have you in its power. It's altering your personality.
If it is changing me, the Keystone is changing me for the better. Perhaps you find that threatening.
No, it's just that
Ever since I was a kid, I was shy. But with the Keystone, I feel self-confident. For the first time in my life, I feel like I could do anything. Anything!
Lion-O speaks the truth, Tygra. You are slowly becoming a slave to the Keystone.
A slave? Ha! Is Is Lion-O a slave to the Sword of Omens? No. Lion-O is master of the sword. And now, I am master of the Keystone!
Tygra, listen to me!
No more talk! I have work to do!
And then Lion-O and Lynx-O walk in on him, and he's all like, paranoid, and throws a wrench in their direction. And Lion-O snatches it out of the air right before it would hit Lynx-O in the face. And Lynx-O doesn't even notice. He's just standing there.
His ears didn't even twitch.
But the scene is like an intervention, right? They come in to tell Tygra that they're worried about him. And that
Exactly.
And they approaching it with kindness, too. It's not like Lion-O tried to strong-arm him at all.
Right. They try 2 tacks. They say, it's changing you.
Yes.
And we're worried about the ways that it's changing you. But denial obviously is the first stage, right? Like, he immediately says his denial is very realistic because Tygra's very smart, right? So he says, well, yeah, it's changing me, but it's changing me for the better. It's helping me.
Right.
He shuts down the idea that it's bad by saying that it's look at all the good things it's doing for me. And this is the thing where he talks about his childhood.
So yes, this inner monologue, or is it now it's outer, because he is talking out loud. So he says ever since he was a kid, he was shy, and it's almost like the uncool kid, where you feel like you are not noticed and you go under the radar. And now he feels like he could do anything. So, I mean, this is the perfect metaphor for someone doing drugs,
self-medicating, drinking too much. It makes you more quote unquote sociable and more outgoing. I do believe that a lot of people, definitely people who have insecurities or shy. I mean, I was a very shy child, like used to hide behind my mother's legs, shy.
And look at you now. Now
I'm just obnoxious and loud and part of this podcast. That's bitter. Don't confuse the two. It's not confident. I'm only kidding. Yeah, I can honestly see that. This is definitely a road that many people have gone down, especially young teens and stuff, thinking that this is the way they can be something that they're quote unquote not, and make them more sociable and more outgoing. So it definitely strikes a chord.
And this is the perfect character to do it in, because it was something when Zack was saying earlier too, with the whole Panthro thing, and Panthro can fix it. I feel like that was almost what the audience felt as well. How many ThunderCats fans, if you think of Lion-O, what's usually the next ThunderCat people think of? Panthro.
100%. And you're making me think about my own childhood, and Tygra for me was my favorite, and I don't know why. It was just subconscious. Yes. There's something about this. I'm not saying this is what I was thinking, but it's another layer to this. What's Tygra's power?
Being
invisibility
and intellect.
Well, I was gonna I'm saying there's an interesting analogy of being shy,
he's hiding,
and being invisible.
That's true.
Tygra was always my favorite too growing up. Is he a queer-coded character in a way? They made him that, I feel like, in Roar. They definitely...
Yeah, and in early fandom, it was just a sort of a given joke that Tygra was gay.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Right. I felt the same way. I identified him as when I was 5 and 6 or whatever watching it, that he was gay. I knew he was more like me.
Tygra was my screen name, my handle on one forum in the late 90s, and we had a live chat with Larry Kenny, and people were poking fun at my screen name, including Larry. Sorry, Larry. I mean, Larry, you're a wonderful man, but you saw the comedy there, and he sort of glommed onto it,
played into it,
and then I changed my name everywhere.
Oh. Well, if it was Bengali, it's okay because he's hot.
I feel like almost now the tide has changed for Tygra. Has it taken I feel like now, okay, maybe it's Panthro, Cheetara, but I feel like now he's kind of just, I feel like fans love him and appreciate him. I hope, because that's what I see. It's not uncool now to like Tygra.
Yeah, I don't know that it was uncool then, but he was the butt of jokes, right? Honestly, more because of the addiction stuff and the criminal underuse being left. Spoiler alert: being left on Third Earth in season 4, being almost less than in the ranks in terms of the stories that were told about and around him. But yeah, now with more distance and less, I think fandom is less specific now about those stories, and it's more just about the idea and the characters and the sort of explosion in toys and in
nostalgia,
collectible action figures is more about the vibe and the aesthetic than it is about the storytelling.
Well, we've all grown up too. We've grown up. You know, I mean, those kind of like things, you know, being that we're adults now, we can see things from a different perspective completely and see that this storyline was really about addiction or having these shortcomings, and this story's about this and that. But
so even in his story, we could say Shy could be also too about how he felt about himself, like his identity and things like that. So,
well, I don't know, I can speak for all gay people, but the reason why I was shy was because I knew I was different, and I knew it would not be accepted by a lot of people, even as a young age. Even though I didn't know what gay was, I knew that I liked the boys, but I was afraid of what they would treat me like, so I had to hang out with the girls. And so that shyness was definitely because of knowing already at a very young age, knowing that I was not going to be accepted by a lot of people. And being scared of that and just instinctively protecting myself and separating myself. So yeah, I mean, I think that's for me why this character would relate to being different or gay or whatever you want to say, like somebody that's not I'm not super strong like Panthro, and I'm not wielding this powerful weapon like.
And intellect, honestly, when kids don't appreciate intellect, really. Like, they don't appreciate at the time that this is a smart character that can come up with plans and architect. They're like, architect? Panthro can build a tank. Architecture.
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an architect because of Tygra.
So he does talk to these children, these people that are feeling different. So I will forever appreciate Tygra as well. And I'm glad
But I will tell you, I am annoyed that his storyline is always, again, he has these shortcomings. It's great. Like, I like to see the person persevere. You know what I'm saying? So like, maybe it will happen later on, but like, it kind of it works. I love the story. I love the episode, and you know how Lion-O progressed and kind of got over a lot of his hubris and a lot of his other things. Like, we kind of I would have liked to have seen. I know that addiction is always going to be, if you have an addiction, it's always going to be there. But I felt like enough playing on his weaknesses, like, you know, with that, he doesn't have to be an addiction every time.
My one criticism of this episode is actually how it wraps up. I think, you know, the next episode we're talking about, there is a moment at the end where the character who is the focus, she reflects on what happened and talks about how it will make her stronger. Tygra doesn't have that here.
It also works though for that. If this was, again, like you're saying, the second episode that we're doing today, it seems like they were leveling up, like the characters. So this could have been like almost like Tygra's level up moment. And maybe he did. Maybe after this is it. Maybe he broke his addictive cycle after this and he did feel stronger. Lion-O and Lynx-O plead with him to let go of the keystone, and he refuses to do so and accuses Lion-O of being jealous of him.
Which of course is, you only say that if the opposite is true, right?
Yes.
Early in Crystal Canyon, when Snarf takes Lion-O's, backs Lion-O up in expressing the danger of the keystone, Tygra says, of course you would side with Lion-O. Like, this is another underlying anxiety that everyone implicitly trusts Lion-O for some reason.
Yes.
And maybe Tygra doesn't say this out loud ever, but it bothers him that people listen to Lion-O maybe more than him, or don't ask I don't know, who knows. It's another, like, there's jealousy with Panthro, and clearly there's jealousy with Lion-O too.
Listen to Lion-O, Tygra. After all, he's the lord of the...
Ha! I might have expected you to side with Lion-O.
I didn't mean anything bad.
And Snarf actually, I love Snarf's follow-up. He's like, well, I didn't mean anything by it.
Yeah, Snarf was, like, hurt. He's like, oh, I'm sorry.
So he even was like, I didn't mean that.
Tygra rebuts the notion that the keystone is changing him for the worse, but then he also, Lynx-O tries this tack of, well, you're a slave to the keystone. It's controlling you, not the other way around.
Yes.
And Tygra's comeback is classic. He says, is Lion-O a slave to the Sword of Omens?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
No, obviously the answer is no.
I'm a slave for you. I can't.
He says no, Lion is master of the sword. I'm master of the keystone. So again, Tiger's very smart. It's very realistic too. He's like, he's in denial. He's looking for reasons why there's nothing wrong with his behavior or with his relationship with this substance. So I just really enjoy that intervention scene because if nothing else, it shows that interventions are really hard.
Yeah, and difficult for the people, that actually have to do it too. We think of the person who's using the substance, but for the people that have to come to the loved ones, it's horrible and hard.
And Lino and Snarf have a scene right after Snarf comes to him in the night or in the morning with breakfast and he doesn't want to eat. He has a scene with Lino where they're clearly very worried and they don't know what to do.
Which is real.
I kind of am disappointed that 2 days have gone by and Lionel hasn't asked for help.
Or even Jaga.
Yeah. Yeah, it all feels very mature for a ThunderCats episode.
Very mature. Down from the injuries to the addiction to the dialogue. They even give Tygra those under the eye drug black eyes that they always get. Yeah, I'm not anything wrong with me.
A little death under the eyes, chasing the dragon.
A little death under the eyes.
But it's the other thing it's doing is we're seeing all these. Obviously, you can't go buy a keystone on the corner from your dealer. But some of the things he's exhibiting are real symptoms of drug use,
paranoia,
signs that signs that you or someone you love might be using the keystone,
Oh my god, are you or somebody else using keystone?
Irritability, inflated sense of self, weight loss, insomnia,
muscle tone loss, no.
Throwing things at your friends.
Fixing everything. Even things that don't need to be fixed. Loro is attacking the Burble village, and the ThunderCats rush to help them. Aloro's mind control proves too powerful and quickly subdues both Lion-O and Lynx-O. Okay, I'll let it work this episode because we had to have Tygra, overcome his struggles, but I feel like they gave up too soon with the Aloro thing. Usually they kind of put more of a, this was kind of just no, Tygra must do it himself. We must leave for Tygra.
Please, Aloro! You must give it back! I need it! Begging, pleading, groveling will get you nowhere, you pathetic creature. This keystone is mine now. Its power will help me to defeat Luna and become the leader of the Lunataks. Nothing can stand in my way.
That's enough, Aloro.
Oh no, my feline friends. You cannot win against my mesmerizing powers.
The power of the sword.
Oh, losing your strength, ThunderCat. Kneel!
Sandy Freeze clearly likes Aloro. The Aloro dialogue is all really good. Sandy Freeze also wrote Psych Out, which was Aloro's big episode in season 2. So all of Aloro's dialogue is funny. He calls the purples ridiculous mechanical teddy bears.
You bastards. And Chilla, by the way, Chilla is definitely, we mentioned this, is definitely a favorite though of the writers too, because it's always usually Chilla's involved. If the Lunataks are there, Chilla. So the Lunatak manages to grab the keystone from Tygra, and he gets addicted from its unlimited energy. Ooh, it's better than the stuff he usually uses.
You ridiculous Build-A-Bear.
Yeah. The funny thing about this is this makes sense, I feel like, for Aloro's power. I feel like this would tap into his power. He could almost use this.
I feel like it would have magnified it.
Yeah,
really
I thought
well.
It was going to magnify his power as well.
To just add on to Tigra's manic, all
groveling and begging too.
Right. Well, this is his crystal canyon, his rock bottom. Right. It's kneeling before Aloro, not because Aloro tells you to kneel, but because you're begging him to give it. He's groveling before the person who tries to make you grovel, which is a interesting juxtaposition.
That's a great thing to think of, Zack. Wow.
He also jumps, but sorry, the ThunderStrike is 50 feet in the air when Aloro steals the keystone. Tygra literally jumps down to the ground 50 feet. I measured.
Oh my god!
I took a screenshot and I measured it. It's 40 to 50. If Tiger is 6 feet tall, it's 40 to 50 feet to the ground.
desperation.
Out of his mind. Yeah.
Desperation to get that power. Wow. And yet still alive. Still alive to do another day. While this is happening, Lionel is able to use the Sword of Omens to free Tygra from the Keystone's effects. Tygra then quickly overpowers Aloro, shattering the Keystone in the process. He instantly regains his muscle tone.
Yeah, the sword just fixes him.
So this is what I wrote down. So this is the Keystone like crack or meth, and the Sword of Omens is like high quality cocaine. Whitney, I speak your name.
I don't do Sword of Omens.
What kind of cocaine helps you build muscle mass?
I don't know, but I mean just like the good high, because listen, I feel like he exchanged one high for another.
Well, one is like a natural catnip, I feel like. Like the Sword of Omens is a natural boost of dopamine. And then this is the Keystone.
So the Sword of Omens is like steroids and an IV for hydration and everything else. And and the Keystone is like crack.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Tygra, what happened here? Are you all right?
Never better, Lynx-O, old friend. Never better.
But what happened to Aloro?
The same thing that almost happened to me. ThunderCats!
While they return to Cats Lair, everyone comes back, and wasn't it so nice to see Bengali and Pumaira involved? I felt so nice that they were just involved in part of everything and not separate as usual. Like, they were part of the main storyline. And they bring in this gigantic ThunderCats pod full of gifts. This crate of gifts. A Panthro gives everybody a gift, including Snarfnip.
So now Snarf's going to be an addict.
Yes.
It looked like a tumbleweed.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's this pointy tumbleweed vine thing for you. A stone from the caves of Kondos for Lion-O.
A Fredrillium stone. There must be somebody... Sandy Freeze must have someone named Fred in his life. Fredrillium.
And this is the part that pissed me off, because where is this thing? A sandy-tailed Haju?
Bougie with a B.
Bougie for Lynx-O. And Panthro says, a pet. It's a Pokemon. But, like, you can't just give a pet in an episode and disappear. Lynx-O looks so happy with that thing.
Maybe it's like a hamster. Maybe they don't live long. Like,
oh my god.
This is a 48-hour Pikachu.
Yeah.
They had it trapped in that crate with all the other crap.
Oh my god, yeah. They didn't even have it with holes. It was just a thing with treasures.
It's like a goldfish that you get at like a carnival or something. It only lasts a couple of days.
And the best is a crystal scepter from the ruins of Carl. Oh, it's
what happened to Carl? Someone ruined Carl.
Carl.
Yeah.
The ruins of Carl.
Well, I mean, that was a large scepter.
And Tygra, oh my god. Oh my god. It's so spectacular, I have to touch it. That's what you have to say. It's so snarf. So Tygra says, I want to say he says it's beautiful, but he says, do you have anything in wood? No. And everyone, of course, is probably like, huh?
What?
I brought you this beautiful scepter and you want some wood?
And I found this keystone on
Tygra, I think you would love it. That was a smart wrap up. Besides, I want that sandy-tailed creature to be back.
It's very cute. It's like a cross between a Snarf and a Pomeranian.
I choose you, Pikachu.
They should be here any second.
Greetings from Thundera.
Welcome back.
We've brought you some gifts. For Snarf?
My favorite, Snarfnip.
A rare Fredrillium stone from the caves of Kondos. For Lynx-O, a pet sandy-tailed Bougie. And for Tygra, a crystal scepter from the ruins of Carl.
Thanks, Panthro. But do you have anything in, wood?
Just to go back to, like Zach said, how the wrap-up happens. So yes, the sword ends up saving the day after all of this. You would have wanted maybe, Zach, more of a, I see my friends kneel, like in danger and I need to step up, probably, right? Like,
well, it's like, maybe. I understand the sword. Like, we're used to the sword saving the day in big, all-powerful ways. But the consequences of Tygra's dependency on the Keystone felt so real that to have them all wiped away like that, it feels more unrealistic. Like, sure, magical problems we can solve with magic. That's hand-wavy enough. But for a drug abuse problem to be solved by magic, just, I don't know. What are we supposed to take from that?
Exactly.
The last time Tygra got addicted to something, which was the silky fruit, he got himself out of it, which I don't want to debate. Like, obviously, if you're an addict, it's a disease. It's not entirely your fault. The substance is also to blame. But there's work to be done on your part to get out of it. And when, after the silky fruit, he apologizes, Panthro is like, don't worry, we know it wasn't you. But at least there's a moment of self-recognition.
Yes.
And there's nothing like that here. He's just sort of better, and then they don't talk about it.
In the wrap-up, right.
Yeah, so what would I have wanted? I would have wanted him to, like, I just wanted, like, acknowledge the physical and mental toll that it took on him, and say that, like, oh, yeah, I'm better, but I'm not better. It's going to take time to heal from what happened. Like, I need to go to third earth rehab.
Right, even if they didn't mention that, something like, yeah, I really went through it today, Lion-O, and I, something, you're right, it's just not mentioned at all.
It's like they sweep it under the rug and forget about it. Like, the wrap-up is just a silly joke about crystals.
Which is something that in addiction, some people do that too. They sweep it under the rug too. Like, oh, we just went through that whole thing where you went on a binger, but we're not going to mention it, kind of thing. That's actually, that could be a problem in itself. But yes, for such a powerful episode, it did end on
I guess the argument could be that the Keystone is like a mystical item, because of, even though it's considered pure energy, because so think about it.
Fruit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like it like rearranged their damaged ship. It didn't like just infuse energy into it. It didn't just power it. It like fixed everything that was crumpled up and stuff. That's more mystical to me than it is just power. I mean, you throw nuclear energy at a wrecked ship, it's not going to make the metal get fixed and the components go back to, the way they need to be and stuff like that. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you could kind of say that it was almost like of a mystical energy.
But to Ryan's point, all I want is a line. I just want one line that's like,
something.
Wow, I was really awful. I'm so sorry. And then Lionel would be like, we knew it wasn't you. The same, honestly, just
the same conversation.
Same conversation.
Get off my junk. I am so sick and tired of you people always coming down on me. Cheetara acts crazy all the time.
Wow.
Wow. Panthro has toxic masculinity. I am so tired of this. Lion-O's having a secret affair with Bengali. I am tired of you
talking
people.
About it.
Yeah, we don't even mention that. We don't even mention Bengali lives here now.
We'll mention that he's been hiding the Sword of Omens in other places.
Oh my god. So dare I ask, how many hoes would you give this episode?
Out of how many? 4?
Out of 5 hoes.
I'm going to give it a full 5.
Yeah, me too. Maybe like 4.9 because of the squibble I have at the end. But yeah, it's pretty great.
4.5 only because I think we have a perfect episode next.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go with that. 4.5. 4.5, yeah. You've convinced me. I'm convinced.
Who else would be at Third Earth Rehab?
The Inflamer.
Yes, Pyromania.
The
driller.
The bubbler. The driller.
It's run by the bubbler, probably. He's like the head.
He's the counselor.
Counselor there. Welcome.
I hope you like therapy.
My bubble addiction almost destroyed me.
Yes, driller for sure. Inflamer, gold.
Oh, a burble, addicted to love.
Addicted to candy fruit. Mm-hmm.
Or candy fruit.
Oh yeah, sex addiction, absolutely.
The blue burble. That's what he's been.
You have mumm-ra hanging out there in different forms, like trying to tempt them. He opens up his jacket. Got diamonds right here. Diamonds for you, driller.
Gold for the Inflamer, yep.
And I want to throw in a warrior maiden just for the hell of it.
What's she addicted to?
I'm addicted to macrame or something like that. Oh my god. I've had this addiction to macrame. I can't help myself.
Willa!
Oh yeah, Willa. It was Willa. So...
I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad. Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach. That stuff hurts. It stops you from living up to your potential. It holds you back. It hurts the user. It hurts his family. And it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using. So remember, don't, or else. Okay?
Are these your drugs?
Look, Dad, it's
Where did you get it?
Dad,
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs.
Telepathy Beam. This is episode 9 of season 3, with September 15th, 1988 possibly as the original air date. Here we go. Vultureman's latest invention causes Cheetara's sixth sense to go haywire, allowing the Lunataks to proceed with their true sinister plan, as opposed to the other plans that weren't as true as this one. Vultureman is back. He might as well move in Sky Tomb, because is he ever back with the mutants anymore?
Well, they're at Castle Plundar. I think this is the only time we ever see the Lunataks at Castle Plundar.
The Lunataks kind of were like everyone's friends in this episode. Like, they had no problems with mumm-ra. They had no problems with this. It was just like, yes, we always get along with everybody. We work like this.
Vultureman and Allura have that scene later on where they're like, why haven't we worked together before? This is great.
Stroking each other's egos. Oh, no, yours the best. Oh, no, you're the best. Oh.
But yeah, I like that at the beginning they explain their plan to us by explaining it to Luna. It's just a good way to do exposition, right? Like,
it's so smart.
If you have to explain something, have it be for the benefit of a character in the scene.
Only one person on Third Earth has the know-how to modify the Sky Tomb for the journey. Panthro. So, we capture him
and persuade him to do the job. And the bonus is that in the process, we'll eliminate Cheetara for good.
With the help of the Lunataks, Vultureman constructs a device that he calls the Telepathy Beam inside Castle Plundar. The machine emits a beam that can plant false images into Cheetara's sixth sense. Their aim of doing this is to disrupt and scatter the ThunderCats so that they can capture Panthro. It's all about Panthro, and force him to upgrade their fortress Sky Tomb so that they can travel to New Thundera and that the Lunataks could grab some treasures of their own. So Vultureman plants images. We cut back to Cats Lair, and Bengali and Mumm-ra, yay! They're actually going on their own. Again, I'm so glad when they let them shine. They let them do things and actually go places on their own, and they're not just stuck at the tower, especially Mumm-ra. So they are going to New Thundera, and Lynx-O and Cheetara are going to guide them.
Cheetara, we'll be making several orbits around New Thundera, scanning for the treasure. If we get any readings that look promising, we'll contact you immediately.
Good luck on the treasure hunt. Lynx-O and I will be taking turns monitoring your progress. If you have any problems, we'll switch you to remote power and pilot you from Third Earth.
I'll be taking the first shift.
You're in good hands, Feliner. Cheetara out.
Cheetara and Lynx-O's dynamic, they're very playful and encouraging of each other. Like, you have the best guide now, like, because Lynx-O's doing the first shift. I love them together. They're very strong dynamic, I think, Lynx-O and Cheetara.
Oh yeah, we sort of establish up front, specifically her, because this episode is her story. We establish her skill and her confidence level at the beginning. She says, "You're in good hands, Feliner." Like, you can tell she knows what she's doing.
Yes.
And we have to start there because we're just gonna go downhill.
And that's the Cheetara that we're used to. Confidence, but at the same time, it's never arrogant. It's just this natural confidence and skill that this woman has normally. And we've known that for 3 years, 3 seasons now. Like, we've seen that.
With one exception, right? With Wizra, she's afraid to tell the others.
She should have kept it to herself. I would have kept whispering to myself, come to the mirror, come to the mirror, come to my window.
And now this comes up later again. So what do you think this is? Because, I mean, we'll get into it, but she gets two things wrong, and then she's like, no, I've been already wrong twice today.
Would you say that her fears are, I'm trying not trying to get political, but with the last episode was about addiction, would you say this is more about self-confidence and possibly misogyny? Like she's the only strong female in this whole cast of strong men?
What about Pum? Can't just say that she's the only strong female. Okay.
For years, she was. And I think you're right, David. I mean, we're projecting more here than maybe is on the screen. But yeah, being the only woman in a group of men and knowing that sometimes in situations like that, and women aren't always taken seriously. Women for decades, in the workforce, have struggled with stupid men who don't take them seriously, who have all of their behaviors under a microscope to a double standard. So yeah, the fact that she naturally is policing herself feels very real. This episode is about her sixth sense, but unlike Sixth Sense, the episode where the alien ship commandeers her mind and she loses control. Yes. This episode isn't about her losing control, because that's sort of tropey, right? Like, oh, the woman can't control herself. This is just about her self-confidence, which is way more relatable. So yeah, it's 100% a story about self-confidence. And that's why we have to start with her being super confident so we can tear her down.
To break her break her character down from what we're normally used to. She gets a premonition at this point at Cats Lair. And this is the first time we've seen, and I love this eye shot that we get where it's her eyes and then they glow golden. And then we see the premonition, again, charmed. I'm gonna say charmed. We get the premonition.
Major premonition, Phoebe.
This is what I wanted Phoebe to have. I want eyes to come up now when she gets a premonition.
Panthro really is a miracle worker. Without those modifications he made to the Feliner's engines, it could never have made it to the new Thundera.
Where is Panthro anyway?
Out in the Thunder Tank. He said he'd been working so long and hard, he'd almost forgotten what the countryside looks like.
Well, when he gets back... Cheetara, what's wrong?
Burble Village. The Burble Village is under attack. Slide and Mudkin are strafing them with laser fire. They need our help.
And she sees that the Burbles are being brutalized. So her and Lion-O rush over to the Burbles, and I love this. They're like, where's the fire, ThunderCats?
Meanwhile, her vision, literally the place was burning.
And
she says, I was sure you were being enslaved.
Yeah.
And Robo says, not today.
Yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Yes.
We're just enslaved to our desires.
Oh my God. You haven't asked us to build something, so no. Who's really enslaving who on this planet, ThunderCats?
Huh?
Hello, ThunderCats. Where's the fire?
Rover Bill, are you all right?
I'm fine, thank you. How is you?
Where are the mutants? Sky Tomb. We thought you were under attack.
What made you think that?
My sixth sense. I was sure you were being enslaved.
Not today.
I don't know what to say. I was wrong. I'm seeing something else now. It's the warrior maidens who are under attack.
Are you sure, Cheetara?
Hurry, Lion-O! Somehow I got my images confused, but now it's clear. I just hope the warrior maidens can hold out until we get there.
That was amazing, but then no! Oh my God, no, I am wrong. It is actually the Treetop Kingdom and the warrior maidens. Oh my God, it's going down. That was amazing. Another brutal attack that she sees.
And she's still sure. She's like, okay, yeah, I got my images confused, but I'm sure now. it hasn't quite chipped away at her yet. She's still like making excuses for why she made this mistake, and like, okay, now I know for sure it's the warrior maiden.
Even how she says it, Zach, again, Lynn Lipton, we love your voice acting. No, it's the warrior maidens. Like, yeah, it's like, it's becoming clear. No, it's actually exactly. But she is dramatic. Oh,
it was Willa. She was wearing a fur outfit, and I confused it with a barbel.
I'm seeing that macrame. It's come full circle. They rush off to the warrior maidens, of course, and the treetop kingdom. And what do you see? Nothing. There's nothing
warrior
here.
maidens waving.
I know, they go like, they're so happy.
Hey, girl.
Yeah, they were really happy. I noticed that.
We have had no trouble in a long time. The mutants and the Lunataks leave us alone. Now that they know you will come to our aid.
I'm seeing things, Lion-O. My powers are failing me, and I brought us on 2 wild goose chases.
I've never known you to be wrong before, Cheetara. Let's take a look around. We'll circle the woods.
Zack sent me this cell of Willa off eBay, and her eye, oh my god. Was it from this episode, Zack?
No, I think it's from Fireballs of Plundar, but so animation cells, the way they're painted, this is a digression, if there ever was one.
Yeah.
First they draw the lines, and then they put the paint, and they put the paint in sort of reverse order so that, it sort of layers on top of itself. So when you look at the cell from behind, the colors are sort of more spread out. And the for whatever reason, the seller put a photo of the back of the Willa cell, and it's just so funny. She has these big googly eyes.
This is what I was picturing while she was standing next to Nada in this episode. I'm like, is this her big googly eyed? No, Cheetara, not today. I just had my eyes dilated at the eye doctor. Anyway, digress.
And they say ever since we haven't had any issues for such a long time because everyone knows you're going to come help us.
I didn't believe that. No, I didn't believe that.
I didn't feel like Willa's pride would let her say something so like, oh, we can't take care of ourselves, like almost. So
we've had no issues ever since the Lunataks realized. Yeah, that was kind of out of place because I feel like they'd be attacked next week.
I don't know. I feel like ever since they started going to New Thundera, everyone's focus is on that.
And the treasures and getting there, yeah.
Yeah, although, collecting. I mean, just like in the previous episode, Allura was just, decimating the Rebel Village for fun. So it is a little weird.
They're at the burbles, if anything. Have you checked them? Have you checked the burbles? Yes, matter of fact.
That would be that's a really good line that I support adding that line in.
Allura hypnotizes a tricorn elk.
Another Pokemon looking thing.
But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful
super
creature.
Pokemon.
Oh my god.
Yeah, big shout out for both of these episodes to Janice J. Woodyard, who was like a secondary character designer in these later seasons. He's active in some on social, on Facebook and other places. He has a blog where he posts all of his designs, all of his old materials from that time. And so you can see all the original designs for the tricorn elk, for the keystone, for all those, for the sandy-tailed bougie, for all of the stuff we're talking about in these episodes. He designed almost all of it.
I love it.
Shout out to him. But yeah, the tricorn elk, very pretty. While all of this has been going on, while Cheetara and Lion-O have been off on their wild goose chase, the Lunataks have been pursuing their real plan. Panthro is just out for a joyride. They say at the beginning, like, he's been bored, he's been cooped up, so he's just going for a ride.
He forgot what the countryside looked like, and I'm like, you know what? I believe that. I really do believe that. And honestly, we really don't get this besides like when Lion-O's camping out or something. It makes sense, like, you want to take a break and you want to drive around. So
yeah,
I think finally he made a love connection on one of those apps that he's got.
Come on, friend, get out of the road. It's dangerous. Let's see if the Thunderhorn can wake this fellow up. Poor fellow, he's frozen with fear. I'd better get out and lead him off the road.
That's right, my friend. Don't move. Not an inch.
The animation is adorable, by the way, when he pulls up Panthro to this elk.
Yeah.
He's like, he has his hand on his chin and he's gazing lovingly at this. And I love that as an animal person. And he says like, come on, get out of the road. So he gets out to move the elk.
First he tries the thunder horn.
Which is the most petite sounding, it's like my car. I have a Volkswagen Atlas and it's fairly big, but the horn is like beep. I'm like, there's no, you can't even hear this. The Thunder Tank is a very mild horn. You would think it'd have like this roaring, blaring, crazy sound.
I have to say this, Panthro, the way, you're right, Ryan, the way Panthro reacts to the elk is really charming. And as someone who grew up in New Jersey and you grew up on Long Island, the disdain for deer among drivers in this part of the country is
true.
Insane. It is vitriolic. As a child, I hated deer because I was conditioned to hate deer because it's somehow the deer's fault that the car hits it.
Damn deer. How dare you get hit by this car?
And it's only as an adult where I've reconsidered that position and been like, actually, you know what? They're just innocent animals.
They get trapped in the headlights. Trapped in deer in headlights. I mean, this just adds to the endearing thing. We had him 2 episodes again, collecting the can for Captain Planet on the planet. I love that Panthro is a warrior, but he's so soft and he loves like nature and things like that. Give it up to Panthro. Give it up to Panthro. Alluro jumps out, does his balls of I don't even know, balls of depression, I was going to call it. But it's not even. It's
mind control, Ryan.
It is mind control.
Control.
But can I tell you, I love that the elk kicks him and saves Panthro for a moment.
That whole scene is directed really specifically. It's these distinct images that we see, like the elk charging Alluro, Panthro dropping his nunchucks. It's these specific images. So then when we jump to Cheetara, we see those same images in her mind, and they're real.
Yes.
I really appreciate how that scene is directed and animated. It feels very specific, and that's why.
And the sad part is, this is when it's really happening. Like Zack saying, she's seeing it, and this is when it goes, I've been a fool twice today, and that's 2 times too many. And Lion-O's like, anything Cheetara, like, because to me, it seems like he still would have gone. Like, he would have gone and investigated. And she said, no, I got nothing to say. I saw nothing. It's nothing.
Right. She lies.
What's the matter, Cheetara? Is it another vision?
I thought I saw Panthro. Tugmug and Alluro were after him, but I was wrong. It is nothing.
Are you sure?
I've made a fool of myself twice today, and that's 2 times too many. I'm sure, Lion.
And in that Wizra episode I was going to mention earlier, she mentions being laughed at too.
Yeah.
Okay, her sixth sense has been proven to help them. So having them laugh and be upset about her now versus the fact that she said there was a magic mirror going on in her room might be a little bit of a false stretch compared to.
I know. I don't know. Sure, but I think it does betray an underlying feeling that she can't project.
Don't you think the reason why she feels this way? Obviously, this undermined her confidence because it was too not really happening. Now, if this was a proven thing where she could tap into it at will, don't you think her confidence is not like having this is because she can't use it at will?
She's not mastered it. She didn't
master
it.
Exactly, which is a stark contrast to the end of this storyline today.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always made her self-conscious because she can't control it. That's true.
So that's what I feel like a lot of it comes from, is that she can't control it. She can't, like, Lion-O knows every time he says thunder, ThunderCats ho, he can draw the power of the Sword of Omens. She cannot do that. So it's almost like it's hit and miss, so you can't
But that's
rely
the thing
on
with
it.
premonitions, though. They come randomly. That's the hard part. Unless, like you saying, she can master it to the point of like she just goes premonition. I get that. By the way, Panthro is still captured and he is taken to Sky Tomb, and he's been put to work to upgrade Sky Tomb.
I wonder what his internal monologue is like. He's looking at all their equipment. He's like, "Oh, these idiots! Look how they've connected all these things together."
The camouflage.
Oh yeah. Or do they have really good like technology that he's kind of like, ooh, damn?
I bet they have really bad documentation, no user manuals for anything. Just everything's a mess.
So Vultureman then transmits images of Panthro in trouble at Hook Mountain, inside Castle Plundar, and inside mumm-ra's too. This is the mumm-ra. The actor is not available to work that day, but you need to have mumm-ra in still. I swear to God, it was the funniest thing, because even later when we see mumm-ra, he's just a glowing thing in the thing. It's like, mumm-ra was not available today's episode. His arm is played by Aloro.
You hear like a little chuckle, like
the laugh inside the tube was the best.
So a few things came to my mind. One, if in fact Cheetara could not trust her feelings, and if in fact there was question about it, why did they not use the monitors at Cats Lair to just search and see if there was an issue by screen? And why did not Lion-O call upon the Sword of Omens, sight beyond sight, to find out really where Panthro was? If that was the case, as opposed to checking every single thing out, because the man can't be in 4 different places. So to me, that really kind of annoyed me, that the go-to, I mean, obviously for the storyline to progress, I guess they needed to not do that. But the fact he's like, we have to check everything out because, you know, we have to make sure Panthro is not at Hook Mountain or in mumm-ra's blah, 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 whatever. But why did he not use the Sword of Omens, or why did they not just check the monitors to see if the Burble Village was being attacked, to see if what was going on, since they have eyes everywhere?
Yeah, the fact that her vision of the Burble Village specifically had the whole place on fire and there was no smoke in the sky.
Yes,
that should have been
and the warrior maidens have that early detection thing on top of one of the huts.
That's true.
Do they still? Who knows anymore, honestly, because we haven't heard it brought up since
we stopped replacing the batteries because we knew you'd just come to save us anyway.
We switched to 5G network now. We don't need it.
My God, it's been beeping for like a year now, and we haven't replaced it. You're right. That sound. Oh. But you're right. That is my one thing. At this point, Wily Cat go to Hook Mountain.
Tygra goes to Castle Plundar with the spring heels.
Of course, put him to Castle Plundar. And
Lion-O goes to the pyramid. And Cheetara says, "What about me? Where should I go?" And it's just devastating. Lion-O has to search for a reason for her to not do anything. You should stay here because the feliner might call for help. But she sees right through it. Like, the voice acting in the scene is just incredible. It's so good.
By both of them, yes, because you heard the searching for, I don't want to upset Cheetara, but what do I tell her?
I would have said, listen, girl, get your shit together. You stay here.
Take a nap.
Have some chamomile tea. Get your shit back together, and then we'll talk. But for now, that's it.
I don't know what to tell you, Lion-O. I have no explanation for what happened today. It's as if...
Bad news, Lion-O. We found the Thunder Tank abandoned, and no sign of Panthro anywhere.
Oh, no. I thought Panthro was in trouble, but I was afraid to say anything after what happened. I was afraid to look foolish. And now... I'm getting new images of Panthro. He's on Hook Mountain. No, he's in the pyramid. Castle Plundar. I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore.
We can't afford to let any lead go unchecked. Thunder Kittens, grab your cat suits and get up to Hook Mountain. Scour it. Tygra, grab the spring heels and check out Castle Plundar. I'll pay a call on mumm-ra.
What about me, Lion-O?
I think you'd better stay here, Cheetara. The feliner may call in for help.
He's lost faith in me, and I don't blame him. I've lost faith in myself.
But Lynn Lipton as Cheetara too, is her dialogue is, she feels her heart. You could just hear it breaking. Like, they think I'm crazy. Again, yes, I'm crazy. I can't help.
But do you think a person would go right to that? Like, let's say, I mean, obviously we're not in these circumstances where we're having these visions and premonitions, but kind of real world. Is your confidence that fragile that a couple of mishaps, it would undermine and you would feel so poorly? I don't know. Maybe I have more confidence, or maybe I'm just got thicker skin now, but I'd be like, F you. So what? I messed up.
No, I think Vultureman didn't know this, but I think this is the one thing where she hasn't ever had real confidence.
Yes, I agree. Yes, that's true. Every episode, she comes up with this power. She doesn't even want to, she even mentions it, like, I feel like
because it takes a lot out of her. It actually physically, emotionally, and mentally drains her. But can we talk about Vultureman being a real diva, biatch? He says 6 cents won't be worth 2 cents.
This idea is brilliant, Vultureman. I don't know why we've never teamed up before.
I knew our combined skills could make the telepathy beam work. All we have to do is plant enough phony images in Cheetara's mind, and soon her 6 cents won't be worth 2 cents.
But that's like classic mutant dialogue, right? That's so like...
That's the emancipation of Vulture.
Yeah, Vulture.
It's a special occasion. Vulture's an insufficient. Of course, go celebration.
He's just sitting there making his deep fakes of Panthro.
He's deep fakes, yeah.
And like it's like the Elon, what's the Elon Musk product, the Neuralink, like the mind the like chip you put in your brain. This is like our dystopian future of like Neuralink deepfake dystopia.
You see Panthro in trouble everywhere.
But Vultureman also implies that he is going to hit her so hard with it that basically it's going to melt her brain. She's going to have
break her. A psychotic
break her.
Which she does. She does have a break.
But she keeps saying mumm-ra. Mumm-ra's picking him up. It was like one thing after another. So I'm assuming these images are coming continuously and probably driving her even more crazy.
Yeah.
So Chilla captures Wily Kid and Wily Cat, brings them back to
we see a fire. That might be Panthro. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Then you have Tygra, who gets captured by a big net. They hold out. Like something like out of like an old cartoon that like the dog catcher with a net. They got Tygra.
It's really true. I mean, usually this is Cheetara in a net.
And then you have the cutest little, for me it was cute because I would be like cautious. You have Lionel who goes into Mumm-ra's pyramid. It's like peering around like a little kid like, is he over there? Is he out?
But he runs to the first. That's my favorite part. He starts running to the first casket. By the way, you notice the caskets around. Mumm-ra's been redecorating again. He put the empty caskets around.
Is the number match the amount of Thundercats? I would be interested to go back.
It's from the last, because there's a lot of them now.
From Snarf takes up the challenge. All those caskets.
He's like, I also got one for Bengali, Mumm-ra. And
he's updated.
What does he see? Why does he go to that? Like the camera zooms in on it.
Was that part of Cheetara's vision? Did she say, "I see"? Maybe told him.
No.
She just saw him on the side.
She saw him being picked up by Mumm-ra, just picked up. And this is when David said this off camera. He's like, the ancient spirit of evil comes alive, and
I said, Mumm-ra ain't even coming out of the tomb. He just left Luna hanging out there. The spirits of evil totem just decides to grab Lion-O and shoot him with some sleep gas out of nowhere.
And that's when Luna goes, "Thanks, Mumm-ra," and we get the ha 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 ha. I'm on vacation in Aruba. Do not bother me. But this is when I would say, in actuality, if Mumm-ra was with it, he would want the sword. I don't think he would allow Luna to take the sword. She was kind of like, "Thanks, Mumm-ra. I'm going to take it from here."
Maybe Mumm-ra was tired. Maybe he needed recharge. He needed to clear his head and he couldn't do it. He just couldn't come out.
He's feeling sick from the Baleful Swamp.
Oh my god, where he said, "How dare you? How dare you do this to me?"
There's indignity.
Lion-O goes to Mumm-ra's pyramid. Luna, Amok, and the ancient spirits of evil capture him. And I want to say the playset, Mumm-ra's playset, must have just come out from LJN because they really focus on that ancient spirits of evil, that one with the ox, the bull ox one.
No, it's like the pig one, the boar.
The boar, yeah. With I want to say he has an earring in his nose. And
the nose
the smoke comes out. I'm picturing the toy coming up with the hands coming up.
Doesn't Luna cover her mouth? Or
yes,
something?
They cover. They cover their mouth. That's it. Amok and Luna.
Amok does too. Yeah.
No. Sleep gas.
the best is the cage returns. That gigantic cage that they had the Thundercats in a little while ago. They're just in there again. They're all passed out, by the way. Lion-O is just out.
Can I just
Tiger's
tell you
in
that
the net.
can I just tell you I feel like Luna's lipstick has gotten even, it's like Mr. Bill. It's gotten so big and so
she's been bigger.
It's like she's gonna like suck up the whole world with those big drag queen clown lips that she's got going on. Anyway, just something I thought of.
She hasn't been able to reverse the aging process yet, so she's getting her lips
I also
bigger.
wanted to say one thing. Did anybody notice the drawing of Cat's Lair? Like the face of the cat in like this episode twice that kind of like was a little different and like it actually showed
very
like
detailed, you mean?
Well, one of them was kind of detailed and like it actually showed more of like where like you could see that it was made of metal, different metal squares as opposed to a smooth surface. It was just a different angle. It struck out to me twice.
So Luna is trying to tap into the power of the sword, and she's doing her best. Thundercats.
Sword of Omens! Give me sight beyond sight! This thing is worthless to us! Trash it amok!
She tries to do sight beyond sight. I think Lynn Lipton really did a great job with Luna here, but I think this is the only other character we ever hear say the words, Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight.
What did he say?
I was gonna say, because Willa doesn't say it, right? She does she say sight? No.
No,
I
she
even
just
think
does
when
the
she
thunder.
tries it.
Yeah.
I see Willa.
Whenever I think of the words, give me sight beyond sight, I don't hear Lion-O. I hear Luna from this episode in my head. It's so like melodramatic.
Oh, give me sight. Yeah, with the wail of Luna at each thing.
And it doesn't work, and then she goes, ah!
Got amok, trying to move the sword like rubber, and it's just moving back and forth. It's like the action figure, the toy version of the Sword of Omens. Rubbery. She gets mad. The sword is just discarded. But I'm like, why? Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? Because Aloro's sword, where it ended up, it's literally with not even an inch. It might as well be in the cage at this point. It's so close to them. In the meantime, at Cat's Lair, I feel like Lynx-O contacts Cheetara because, you know, we got to lead back Bengali and Mumm-ra from New Thundera.
Yeah, they're having some kind of crisis at in the Feliner, which was foreshadowed earlier. Like Cheetara says at the beginning, like if something happens,
yes,
we can recharge you remotely from the Lair's batteries, basically. Like we can shoot some power to you.
And they really thought they were going to die. You could tell Mumm-ra and Bengali were like, this is it. They must have sent us up here for a reason by ourselves because this is the end of us.
But yeah, they have to do this thing to rescue the Feliner, and Cheetara is unsure of herself. Like it's just like something she needs to do on the computer, like a sequence to send the right amount of power. And she's questioning herself, and Lynx-O has to like basically tell her what to do. And it's over, everything's fine. But then her body language is she's literally shaking. It's so so intense. It's so emotional. And Lynx-O says, What's going on? Tell me about it.
I'm sorry, Lynx-O. My indecision cost precious time and ruined the mission.
Cheetara, you knew that sequence like the back of your hand. You taught it to me. What happened?
I don't trust myself anymore. Not after what's been happening.
Tell me about it.
And the fact that he says, you have done this. You're the one who taught me this sequence, Cheetara. And you've done this before. And then he's like, 17, blah, blah, blah. And he tells it and she does it.
It's your social security number. You should know it. It's memorized. You've told me this. This is your old phone number.
Oh
from
my God.
Thundera.
That would have been hysterical. And this is when we get the shot of Mumm-ra, especially, is like, they breathe heavy, like, oh my Jaga. Oh my Jaga, what just happened? Lynx-O, I love this line. Listen to your heart. What does it tell you? Lynx-O is such a father figure, mentor, wise. I don't know. I just love him.
I'm here, but these images, they're destroying my mind. My sixth sense is out of control.
Listen to me, Cheetara. In piloting the Thunderclaw, I've been picking up atmospheric readings like I've never seen before. Based on what you told me, I'd say it's some kind of psychoelectric field.
You mean someone is planting these images in my mind? Deliberately? Then I've got to fight back. But how?
Cheetara, I gather my information with my ears. And because my hearing is so acute, I pick up sounds that no one else hears. So many sounds that sometimes it's impossible to sort out the information they provide. When that happens, I quit listening with my ears and listen with my heart. Listen to your heart, Cheetara. What does it tell you?
I am Cheetara. In my heart, I know I'm the strongest of my kind. The pride of my people. I am unique in this universe, and I will not be defeated!
Team.
I don't know how you did this, but you're going to pay for it!
He says, remember who you are.
Yes.
That's what he says. He puts like when I told you when Wonder Woman throws the lasso on Superman. Kal-El, last son of Krypton, remember who you are.
I am Gal Gadot.
I am Gal Gadot.
Whatever her name is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mufasa.
Oh,
remember who you are.
Mufasa.
Well, that's a good one too. I wrote down a million things. I am woman, hear me roar. I said, and you, you're gonna love me. I put down, I'm Rosemary's granddaughter, the spitting image of my father. This is her moment.
You are just, she's having a musical theater montage.
But Lynx-O figures it out. Lynx-O figures out that the images that she's seeing, it's not that her sixth sense is failing her.
No.
It's that someone is planting the images in her mind deliberately. He figures out Vultureman's tech. And she says, I have to fight back, but how? And this is where he gives
Oh my
advice.
God, this is amazing. So yes, ignore all the false vision that is being implanted. And she basically...
No, we need the verbatim. We need the verbatim. This next scene, we need the verbatim, what she says, please.
Basically, she realizes that she could overpower the machine with, I want to say, telekinesis.
I don't think she knows what's going to happen, if that's what you're suggesting. I think Lynx-O's suggestion is, like, tune it out and listen to your heart. What does your heart tell you? Like, at your core, ignoring all of this nonsense, what do you know about yourself to be true? Like, he's just trying to help her find her mojo again, find her sense of self-confidence.
And that's when she realizes, right, that if she ignores the fake images, then she could tap into her real power then.
I think by this monologue she has,
oh yeah, my God.
where she recognizes her own self-worth and value and finds confidence in herself that's really at her core, that's not fake. Like,
no.
It's real, and in finding that, she finds the strength to overpower what's happening to her.
And I mean, the monologue, like we were saying, and you'll hear it in this, I mean, even that she's the pride of her people. I'm just envisioning what they did in the 2011 series where Cheetara is a sage and she's like working under Jaga with like this mythical thing. And by the way, I remember everyone ran fast, even Jaga, if you were a sage in the 2011 one. But I like building on Cheetara's mythos, if that makes sense, that she is this race and, you know, her powers. That makes sense why she has a comic book spinoff now as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a moment where she finally stops seeing it as a curse.
Yes.
and recognizes the strength that it gives her and the uniqueness that it gives her. She says, I am unique. I wear it every, I have this bracelet that I'm wearing right now.
Yes.
Says, I am unique in this universe and I will not be defeated. She finds strength in the thing that makes her different, not self-consciousness.
And that's the true confidence that we all...
I mean, but did you see the whole, even the whole, thing with,
art was the animation.
The Sailor Moon-esque sort of...
Yeah, this transformation.
Flailing up and the whole...
She glue.
It's
she
gorgeous.
glue gold Super 7 / new exclusive glowing Cheetara. She was glowing.
She glue?
She glue herself together. She was glowing gold. By the way, this power also awakened the Sword of Omens.
No. It's telekinesis. It's unclear, right? She the way it's animated, her body disappears and she just turns into this golden energy and shoots out towards Sky Tomb. But the implication is that she's doing this with her mind, right? She's I guess she figures out that they're at Sky Tomb. I'm not sure how.
And she actually saw, maybe she literally saw this image now, finally.
But snaps Panthro out of, she has the power to snap Panthro out of Aluro's psychic hold. She has the power to literally pick up the Sword of Omens at miles and miles away and hand it to Lion-O.
That is crazy, though. The power.
Well, and the beams of energy are very much like her staff, which is very much on her brand.
Golden.
With the staff
Oh,
being
interesting.
able to shoot out and remember when she throws the staff and it's in different
Yeah, I like those.
Which
sparks.
is, but that also ties to her probably her inherent ability. You talked about in the last episode how Tygra's is invisibility because of maybe because of who he is. Think about it, they definitely do tie into that beam of whatever was coming out of her is very much like the staff, which I've seen her multiply and do some pretty fantastical things with the staff alone.
Her staff is amazing. So, Lynx-O advises her to listen to her heart, ignore all the false vision, and she emits powerful energy beams from her body, which destroy the telepathy beam and free the captured ThunderCats. Then, Lion-O gets the sword, and he just slices... Whoosh, that cage just... it was like cheese. It literally just sliced that cage open. The fact that she says she will not be weakened anymore when she uses her powers, again, a growth that I feel like what Zack was saying we did not see with Tygra's wrap up. There wasn't this, exactly what Zack said, there wasn't a tie, and next time I might be able to fight this or, control my... He didn't get this. Cheetara is, I am in control now. I will not be ashamed. I will trust myself and I will not be weakened. And now she might be telekinetic, possibly.
Right.
And they ask her, and Lion-O asks her, do you think you can do that again? Or can you do that again?
If the writers think I need to, I would say.
She's like, maybe.
I think she would have. If this series went on, I feel like they would have explored this more. And I feel like her powers would have advanced to astral projection.
She does say, it's funny because if we posited earlier that the source of self-doubt comes from not being able to control this thing in her, this power. But even at the end, she still says, I may not be able to control it, but I know that it won't weaken me anymore. So she still recognizes that she doesn't have full control, but that's not scary to her anymore, I guess.
She got work to put in. She's got work.
And we do see her powers advance in season 4. There's one scene in season 4 where she does something a little fancier. There was a trend in fanfics that would take place after the end of the series where the writer would indicate that Cheetara was developing her powers further. Because it just feels like a natural progression of this.
Especially since the writers are continuing this. Yeah, so it seems like, especially, since season 1 to now, that we're seeing her shoot these beams out. Love this progression.
Right before the epilogue, Cheetara is in the council chamber looking out the window, and she sees the ThunderCats symbol in the sky. She says, there is one image I can always trust, which is, it's nice. But it reminded me of Snarf Takes Up the Challenge when the mutants faked the ThunderCats symbol, and Cheetara fell for it and got trapped.
In a net, I want to say? In a net?
Well, she's always being trapped in a net.
They're like, you know what? We used the Tygra net this time, but you're right. But it is a nice little wrap up that, yes, that beam. And she, by the way, she's in Cats Lair. They didn't let her leave after this episode. Even the wrap up, she's like,
she's still there. She's still looking out the window. It's just a really this fast forward 5 out of 5 hose.
5 out of 5. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I would say it was a really great episode.
Sometimes I say that Mask of Gorgon is my favorite episode because it's like, I think it's the most entertaining. But I think that this is the best episode. Come for me, fans.
Who
say it's the Ghost Warrior
of the series.
Of the series. I think this is the best written and executed episode in the whole show.
And we do get mumm-ra, even if it's a cameo of his arm in the laugh.
Progenitors!
And it moved fast, too. So just to build on Zack, this is a great episode. Warrior Maidens. We got friends. We got burbles. Like, it showed you the whole Third Earth, the villains, and it had so much going on, and it moved so well. That's why I think it is so high up.
You also see something that you have not seen probably for most of the series. Mutants and Lunataks and mumm-ra working together and not in there was no viciousness back and forth. It was just whatever. They were just doing their thing.
Thanks, mumm-ra. Like we said, thanks, mumm-ra. Thanks, French.
Thanks, French. Sorry, French.
Yeah, they're having sleepovers.
Yeah. Getting their ears pierced.
And you have a real the most emotional story in the whole show. Like, Cheetara is psychologically wrecked.
Yes.
And then has to recover from that.
I
and
can
does
relate,
so
girl.
beautifully.
My God, I can. The poor woman is always under attack too. It's that classic thing. If it doesn't kill you, it made her stronger, really. And it made the wrap up where she is in the window. I love this shot where she's in the snarf spot in the council chamber.
She's in the hammock. She's in the hammock by the window.
I was gonna say that, but
looking out.
They're referring to the fact that before we started recording, in the background in my apartment, I have a hammock in the window.
And by the way, a beautiful window. Much like, I want to say, the three windows of the castle chamber.
Would you call it?
It is a bay window, yeah.
Okay, see.
Did
you know that, Ryan? Did you know that?
No, absolutely not. I barely even know my own name. So they have this wrap up and they're talking about her powers. And then this is the best. She's like, and Snarf should be here any minute or something like that.
And then Snarf walks through the door.
And they're like, oh
right
my goodness. She's like, I just saw him from the window. That was hysterical. I don't know. I made me laugh.
Yeah, it was cute. It was definitely cute.
Because it ties into the story, but also, no, I just looked outside the window.
Wow, Cheetara, we knew you were telepathic, but we never dreamed you were telekinetic.
Neither did I. But I was so angry and desperate, I tapped into strength I didn't know I had.
Do you think you could do it again?
I don't know, but I do know this. I'm stronger now. I may not be able to control my sixth sense, but I know that when I do use it, it won't weaken me the way it has in the past.
Well, it's been some day, all right. And I better get my gear together. As soon as Snarf gets back from the Burble village, we're going over to the tower to repair the Thunderclaw.
Then you'd better hurry, because Snarf should be getting here just about now.
I'm back! Did I miss anything?
How did you know, Cheetara? Did your sixth sense tell you?
No, I saw him coming from the window.
What else can we say?
Well, listen, we love Cheetara too. I think everybody loves like that whole underdog sort of, and to see that even the most powerful or the most what we consider to be like one of the strongest Thundercats is even able to be taken down and struggle. You know, again, like pairing this with the episode with Tygra is really interesting because again, we've talked about like Tygra be considered weak, you know, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And then you see like what I consider to be one of the most fiercest of the Thundercats.
True.
I mean, she's fierce. It's not even like she is cat-like and animalistic in certain things. Her and then Lionel once in a while does a growl or whatever, but she is like very much
like she would get like
animalistic.
And she pulls herself out of it, which I don't necessarily expect that from Crystal Canyon. It makes sense that the sword would help, but I think that's because these episodes are paired like this. You notice it missing from Crystal Canyon because this episode lets Cheetara get there herself.
And because they're so powerful, both episodes, and they come right after each other, you're right. It's like such an easy
It's a
way
beautiful
to go.
pairing. It's a beautiful pairing.
Yeah.
It's very much why I feel like I love this series, and the reason why when we get criticism by younger generations about like certain cartoons that we like He-Man and She-Ra, you have the family values there. You have the fact that this arc of the character, you see that people are flawed and they can overcome. And this is the reason why we do certain things we do. I was a shy kid, so that and had a lot of issues and confidence issues. So that's why I had a drug addiction, alcohol problem. There's a lot of things in here that are very adult topics, and this is the reason why I personally, I think I could speak for you guys. Is one of the reasons why we love the series and love this type of storytelling, because this is, to me, this was an extra parent. These things were like a guiding parent. Like that's so funny. We were talking about how someone had said that the episode of He-Man talking about inappropriately touching him and She-Ra was what made them tell somebody that they were being molested. I mean, and then you have but then it kind of annoyed. I don't want to turn a negative thing, but then you have people saying how ridiculous the cartoons were before and how they're horrible
Cheesy,
and this and that and cheesy and misogynistic and this and that. And you're like, no, these cartoons helped people overcome things. And morally, I'll be honest with you, besides being gay and not being able to produce my own children, the fact that Jerrica Benton and Jem took care of all the Starlight Girls, all these children, was one of the reasons that gave me the inkling to even want to do adoption as a young person, to think about adopting somebody that doesn't have a parent. So that this does change your life. It does form things for you. So I don't know. I'm just a little emotional about it, but that's how I feel about it. And these episodes brought that out for me.
Had you seen these episodes? I know a lot of the later seasons you hadn't seen when you were younger. Had you seen these before?
I want to say I probably did, but I didn't remember them.
I saw them like Cartoon Network before the DVD. Yeah,
later,
like on that run.
Crystal Canyon I didn't see until the Cartoon Network era, but I had Telepathy Beam on tape when I was little. But I didn't. It's funny. I missed it. I would dutifully record them. Like I learned how to use a VCR very young. But I missed the title card, so I didn't know what it was called. And my mom and I were like going through cataloging what was on each tape so we could have a list to reference. If I wanted to watch a specific episode, I would know what tape it was on. And she was like, well, what do you think it's called? And I was like 5. And so we watched the first few scenes, which are really about the Lunataks trying to get to New Thundera, and the Feline are also going to New Thundera. And,
yes.
And Cheetara says, what does she say? She says, good luck on the treasure hunt. So I called it the treasure hunt.
Well, honestly, though, a lot of times things that they say in the episodes do become part of the title.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Or a few minutes later, if he said telepathy beam, it would have been it makes sense.
Yeah,
it's telepathy beam.
If Vultureman, so that's actually we didn't mention this. We don't actually know what Vultureman and Allura are up to at the beginning. We find out partway through. So we forget, having watched the episode repeatedly, that it's not a given that what she's seeing is fake.
That's right. That's right.
We're with her, or we should be with her at the beginning.
Up until
Vultureman explains what he's doing.
But wasn't your first inkling? I know that she was like, "This is terrible. It's going on." But wouldn't you think to check the monitors at the very beginning too, or something? Or wouldn't they have gone off? Or wouldn't they have gone off? Fire and destruction and explosions.
Or if you're getting visions that are like. That maybe aren't true, and you see Panthro at Castle Pandar, at the pyramid, and on Hook Mountain. What's missing from wouldn't you think, oh, maybe it is misdirection and he's actually in a 4th place?
Sky Tomb.
But even then, Luna says that they've hidden Sky Tomb in the Lost Canyon, like in a place that is somehow protected.
Even more hard to get to than the normal drive that they have to go through. Speaking of Vultureman, the trivia says Vultureman is the only mutant to appear in this episode, but to me that's wrong.
No, that's
because
wrong.
We see Slythe, I was going to say, in a shot
shooting,
attacking. So that is wrong.
Well, but it's not real. So Vultureman actually appears. A deep fake of Slythe appears.
The beginning of AI Slythe is here. Check the hands. I heard AI can't do hands or eyes.
Slythe has like 10 fingers.
The fingers start transforming. I'm seeing Slythe, but it's AI. Mumm-ra does not appear in this episode, but instead is hinted to be inside his sarcophagus. In this episode, it's revealed that Cheetara also possesses telekinetic powers. Some of the equipment that the Thundercats build to explore New Thundera, yes. And I love that even Chilla's like, you have your thermal thunderwear. So how did she know about the thunderwear quote? And of course, the anti-gravity boots. So 5 out of 5.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, you have failed. You are a worthless, bungling idiots. Bunglers. You bungler. You bungled the job again. You bungled it. Delightful.
Mumm-ra, you weren't really here today, but we're so glad to hear from you and your voice. It's always welcome. If we were to go to Bunglers for Crystal Canyon, this is actually the hardest one for me.
I have like two directions we can talk about. One is we alluded to it briefly, like the elders like Lynx-O and Jaga not offering Lion-O better advice on how to help Tygra what he was going through. But then the flip side of that is like Lion-O not trying harder, not asking, and also Lion-O not pressuring him to contend with what happened afterwards. Like just the sweeping it under the rug is as much Lion-O's fault as it is Tygra's.
As the leader, yeah, he should mention something like, we really went through it today, Tygra, but you overcame your, something. So, yeah, Jaga maybe too, like that one moment. He could have consulted Jaga maybe, right? Jaga.
Maybe Jaga, maybe Jaga sees it in black and white.
Yes, actually, I could see Jaga seeing that in black and white. Get rid of it, and that's it. That's all you gotta do.
Throw it into a volcano and let the whole planet be destroyed. Oh, wait a minute. That didn't work the first time.
Going away now. Bye.
Okay, so it's not really a bungler, it's a missed opportunity. I think the Lunataks should have taken down the Tower of Omens and the Cats Lair. So I don't know if that's really a bungle. I guess it is a bungle because you had the opportunity to do it. I'm gonna say I agree with Zack, and at first I didn't really think about it because I kind of made the reference about obviously the funny reference, or maybe it wasn't funny, but like the drug thing versus the good drugs versus the bad drugs. The fact that the Sword of Omens is mystical, but it could have how the Sword of Omens was able to revive him and bring him back his
muscle, the body,
his physical, but that's not helping his emotional and mental state. So not having any sort of like recognition or having some sort of like coming to Jesus moment, as I would say, with it, I guess that's the bungle, and that's more of a writing thing, or maybe they ran out of time, or it was just, I don't know, because the topic itself is pretty heavy to begin with, addiction.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would have been bad for him to recognize, you know what, I want to thank you guys for helping me, or you know what, I realize that this is something I have to deal with, whatever. They could have put a childlike spin on it to make it more palatable for a child to understand, like, this is something that I have to deal with, or I have to take care of, or you know what, I didn't need the Keystone to overcome my shyness, or whatever. So I guess to me the bungle is with the writing and not having that
wrap up,
missed opportunity. So I'm gonna say that was the bungle, a missed opportunity. But as far as the characters, not destroying the Cats Lair and the Tower of Omens when they had the opportunity, nobody was there.
Ooh.
It's funny, like the question of what is the lesson of that episode, right? Is it just like, this is what addiction looks like, or this is how something can make you feel, but it's not real, it's fake, it's like not real confidence, it has downsides. Like, is it really just a warning about drug abuse? And it doesn't need to have that character moment because it's not really about that. Like, I'm trying to defend the writers here a little bit. Like, why wouldn't they have that little moment?
I'm so deep in it, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if you do you know, like, when certain people overcome an addiction, but they get addicted to something else. Like, some people will cope with their drug or alcohol addiction, but then they become addicted to religion, where like or people that stop smoking, all of a sudden they're the smoke police for every single person. How dare you smoke? Or people that lose weight and all they do is obsess about weight loss and telling people you shouldn't put that in your mouth, it's unhealthy. Like, there's always these extremes. I feel like Lion-O using the Sword of Omens was just like a band-aid of using another
Oh, definitely. If this is,
we laughed about this before. We're like, that's their crystal meth up when they sort of omen. All of a sudden, they can rip out of stuff and become empowered and invigorated and destroy things and overcome every obstacle. So, not funny, but that's kind of like where my mindset is at.
I was just thinking it would have been funny if Tygra had a mirror in his workshop and had like looked at himself and been like, "Ooh, I'm looking good." Like if he
thought, if he
thought he was like, "Oh, I've lost some weight. I'm looking, younger."
I can put on Cheetara's leotards without it stretching.
Yeah, finally he could fit into them.
He's do that moment where he's like Buffalo Bill from
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I do me.
I could actually almost see that, especially after Snarf came in with the food and said, "I lost weight." What does he mean? I lost weight?
The other bungle could be, and indulge me a moment. The other bungle could be that Lion-O, under the guidance, because Lion-O is immature and young and still impressionable in many ways, under the guidance of Lynx-O and Snarf, to be more forceful with Tygra to get rid of that keystone and to be actually more direct with him once the gentle approach didn't come through. So the bungle in my mind could be that they should have done maybe a little bit more before Oloro did the attack and the whole shebang and everything else.
But was he awake 24 hours doing this? Because then I would have said
2 days.
Yeah, so he's not gonna let it go. It's not like
so he's holding it. I was thinking that too. Like they could have taken it but he's not sleeping. He's probably working. So there's not even an opportunity to grab it.
Forcefully grab it. What was he going to do?
Hold him down, Lynx-O.
Use the Sword of Omens to wake him out of his funk. To have somebody go in. One person grab him. One person grab the keystone.
Snarf runs out with it.
I wonder what that thing was that he was designing and building. Like, I wonder if he got home and he walked in his workshop and he's like, "What the fuck was I doing? What is
in another language? It's like in Latin now. What?" Or Panthro comes in and goes, "Oh, I know how to build that."
What is that? Is that a ship? Is that the Four Winds?
Yeah, he was building a new Four Winds. Now, telepathy beam. Mine was Oloro leaving the Sword of Omens within an inch of the cage, and Lion-O not using sight beyond sight. After the third attempt, when they couldn't find Panthro, beyond the screens, like David was saying, beyond the thing, I would have used sight beyond sight. Again, of course, we need to get the characters to this point. I mean, for the writing standpoint. But leaving the Sword of Omens right next to the cage was knowing that
he has called for the sword before, but unless they thought that Lion-O was never going to wake up.
I mean, that's what they think, because they never think these things through. That's supposed to be part of their downfall, but that was such a stupid thing.
Well, it's funny. She says that their plan is that once Panthro finishes the upgrades to Sky Tomb, that they're going to airlock the ThunderCats on their way to New Thundera. So they'll take them with them and then just shove them out into space.
Yeah.
Where they'll die instantly.
Or not, because, we have lots of scenes where they're just hanging out in space.
They're hanging in space, that's right, true.
But it made me think, like, why go after the treasure? Like, the purpose of the treasure is to, like, have a leg up on the ThunderCats. But if you've already captured them and you're going to kill them, why go after the treasure? It was just a weird part of the plan. But I agree with you, Ryan, that Lion-O not using sight beyond sight feels like the biggest bungle. I hesitate to do bungles that are like, well, why didn't they just do this?
Right, exactly.
But in this case, it does feel relevant. Like, clearly what Cheetara is communicating isn't trustworthy anymore. So let's go to something that is trustworthy before we go out on more wild goose chases.
Because did they use it during the first season with the ship too? Did he not use sight beyond sight to see where the spaceship was connected to her? I feel like he even used it then, where like they were trying to find where it fell in Hook Mountain too. Or did she know it was Hook Mountain?
I think she knew it was Hook Mountain.
It's cold, Hook Mountain. So maybe she did. Because then I would have just said, yeah, he even used it then. Like, when all else fails, they know to use this because it always sees through deception. It sees through the fog. It sees through this. Because honestly, I would have thought instantly that mumm-ra was doing this. Or somebody. Like, this was a spell of some kind.
So yeah, in that sense, the bungle maybe The easier bungle that doesn't rely on saying, well, what if, is just sending people out on that wild goose chase in the first place. Sending the kittens to Hook Mountain, sending Tygra to Castle Plundar without doing a little bit of like regrouping and investigating first. Feels like a bungle.
With that being said, 2 amazing episodes. I'm so glad that Zack was here for these. Something tells me Zack will be here very shortly again.
Is that a premonition?
I actually, yes, my eyes have gone to the Burble Village, and I have a feeling that Zack will be within maybe a month.
Well, what does your heart tell you?
My heart tells me I should have looked at that printed page that I reprinted out again with the schedule. So, but Zack will be here relatively shortly.
It's gonna be a few months, actually.
What?
Yeah, I'm looking at the list. It's a few months away.
You messed up your premonitions.
Maybe we'll have to bring Zack in for a special What If mail episode a little soon.
Oh, I would do that. Yeah, sure.
Honestly, the Bunglers love Zack.
Well, we love him too.
That goes without saying.
I'm a little jealous. Don't talk about the others.
And Matesh did come up with a whole plot line for the What If that he came up with that we still have to read. So in the meantime, you can always read David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, on Instagram, as well as the Radical Retro Rewind, one word, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and beyond. If you're listening to this, Bunglers, and you want to leave us a review, it would be greatly appreciated, especially if you're on Apple, and you can leave us a little written review if you have it in your heart, if you have it in time. We love you, Bunglers. We love Zack when he is on. These were 2 amazing episodes. I can't wait to hear what everyone else thinks about these episodes. Yeah, so Zack, thank you for being here. And like I said, we're going to kidnap you for a mail episode.
Thank you. These are 2 of my favorites, so it was a really great time talking with you about them.
David, thank you, of course. You'll be back to work shortly on something. I think we have to record the Blair Witch Project relatively soon for Halloween.
Don't put me in a corner. Promise me a good time.
You won't be in a corner now. We won't put you in a corner. ThunderCats fans, I have to say the classic ThunderCats ho, ho, and ho, and a ho, and a ho.
And you get a hoe, and you get a hoe, but I'm not a hoe. Don't call me one.